Yo, what's going on, guys? In this video, I have 50 tips and tricks varying in levels of complexity to help you guys win more fights. So without further ado, let's get right into it. When you place a wood wall, it starts at 90 HP, a brick wall starts at 99 HP, and a metal wall starts at 110 HP. So if you're getting sprayed, it's best to use metal. You can take fairly healthy walls with a sniper due to the increased structure damage. You should also hold down the auto shotgun instead of tap firing it. Unless you're insanely high ping this season, the striker AR will always bleed a bullet through. Suppressors are also not easy to hear this season, so using one will let you get a few more shots off on your opponent or your opponent's structures before they fully understand where you are. If an opponent is in your box and you have the stair, this edit lets you get the first shot every time. If an opponent is on your wall, you can phase your stair, go for pre-fire, then jump up on top of your stair without risk of taking any damage back. You can exploit into boxes using your pickaxe, the easiest being with a stair above your head. You can also do it without any builds at all, and you can also do it off a slide. If you guys are struggling with your pickaxe timing, this exploit with the door will get you through the wall every time as long as you're holding forward in this spot. You can also exploit through a wall using any weapon, you just have to make sure that the shot does enough structure damage to break the build. It's also very important to learn how to phase into an opponent's box from their tops, so if you take the stair and then edit it like this and spam crouch up against it, you'll break in every time. You can also momentum in with your AR, and then you can also do it with your pickaxe. Here's an in-game example of this. However, getting into my next tip is if you guys jump in a box, make sure you immediately break out of their box and make your own. Don't get greedy for the loot and sit in someone else's builds. If you guys ever need to phase in from beneath your opponent, spraying in works, as well as using your pickaxe as long as you're holding forward. For the final phase in, you can slide exploit into a box as long as the opponent's wall is 25 HP or lower. Pistols do 2x headshot damage while all other guns do 1.5. So getting into off-spawn fighting, for these far drops you want to look as high with your character as possible without it slowing down your gliding speed, and you know it's slowing down when the camera angle changes like that. For hot drops or close drops, you want to find the lowest elevation point possible in your surrounding area in order to get the best drop. This brings me to my next tip, which is if you're fighting off spawn and your opponent switches to metal, they most likely only have a couple builds left. If you force a stair in an enemy box, they almost always leave their box instead of breaking the stair, and you can try to pre-piece and predict where they're going to go next. When you're box fighting and you both have peanut butter edits, you can safely spray this wall from this angle without being able to take a pump in return. If you struggle to edit out your box when an opponent is pressuring you, you can edit a window instead. If you ever get full box, you can hop into their cone and escape because 9 times out of 10 they're not going to place that floor there too. Using visual audio is a great way to be able to pre-fire your opponent. If you notice your opponent goes for a lot of pre-fires, you can use their shot to exploit into their box. You can't get edited down standing on the middle of an enemy cone unless they do the diagonal edit, which has never happened to me in-game. You get an audio cue when you have 10 builds remaining, and you get that same audio cue just a little louder when you're at dead zero builds. When you're smacking on walls, make sure you have every angle blocked off so you can't get sprayed or even worse, sniped by a third party. You should also be trying to pre-fire your opponent more because a decent amount of time you can get some damage. When you're low on ammo, the audio of the shotgun shots is different. Now I know we all hate third parties, but third partying a fight is a great way to get a quick elim and get the loot of 2 players, and you can even kill pretty good players like I did here, because most of the time they're weak and they're trying to run instead of fight you. It's also important to note that when 2 players are in a stalemate, it's not an ideal time to third party, but when they're in each other's box, that's perfect. Pumping then pickaxing a wall is a great way to take it when it's decently healthy. If you're able to get a cone or stair in an opponent's box, you can edit that cone or stair through their turbo build if you break the wall and try to edit at the same time. You can tell if somebody's hiding in their cone or holding an edit by the little lock that appears in your crosshair when you have your builds out. A little note that you don't want to really walk around with your builds out though, so try to do this trick quick. This is normally a difficult reset for people, but if you just hold your wall out, you can easily reset it every time. Kind of similar to the last tip, if you try to edit a wall from far away, you can't, but if you pull your map out, you're able to grab edits from much further. It's very important to be able to fake pickaxe in order to bait out shots from your opponent. If you're claiming island and you hear a rift, you want to get up and look for that player immediately to get some damage before they land so you can try and end that fight quickly. You can land safe in the snow biome and then use those pads to third-party off-spawn fights to get a quick elim or two. You also want to end these off-spawn fights quickly, or else someone else that landed safe and has more loot than you is going to come key you. If there were a player in this box, one approach you could take would be to pre-piece all angles to make sure that there was nowhere you could go without it being your builds. You should also try and apply pressure to all parts of the box that the player is sitting in. When setting up a peanut butter edit, it's best to have a floor above your head to give you a little bit of a safer peak so you don't jump too high. By running and placing a cone above you, and then editing through and holding down your cone again, you can place an extended cone which just allows you to place that cone further than you're supposed to be able to. If the player you're fighting just likes to crank and spray, you can place cones all around your head and then chop their builds out. If you don't want to get pumped while they're falling, you can also just place yourself in a cone. Grapple from the tops of trees in order to chase down your enemy efficiently. In a situation like this, you can normally pickaxe through the player's wall because they're busy in that animation trying to reset. If they're staring at you after you double let it down on them, you can place this wall to bait out a shot and then go for the pump. If you struggle to hit headshots while jump shotting, try aiming for their chest instead to let that jumping motion guide your crosshair to their head. And finally guys, tip 50 is to be confident. A little bit of confidence in this game goes a long way, so have some faith in yourself and you will play better. That's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.